Hi guys, welcome back to the Curb Clippers channel. Today we're going to be looking at the GT1 and GTE classes, and while these might not be quite as popular with the overall player base as some of the other cars are, it's safe to say that they're firm favourites of the KC class. The high power and low weight of the GT1 class and the incredible aerodynamic performance of the GTE cars can really make them challenging to get to grips with, but ultimately very satisfying when you do get things right. As before, when we haven't been able to establish an overall winner on pace, we're going to weigh up the other factors that contribute to extracting the performance as easily as possible from potential cars. So let's start breaking down the classes. So in GT1, first things first, the McLaren is just so unfortunately, but credit to Reza, there's a realistic truth behind this, as the long-tail version of the GTR debuted in 1997, where it was initially pretty competitive against the CLK GTR and the 911 Evo as it was back then. But by the end of the season, the Mercedes had a bit of a performance edge, and then by 1998 they'd come up with the revised LM spec, and Porsche had completely redesigned the GT1 98. So the nearly unchanged McLaren just had no answer competitively. In game, there's an obvious feeling that the car just lacks downforce compared to the other two, and you can expect it to lose around the second per minute of lap time. The good news though is that there's nothing to choose between the other two cars. The CLK LM has possibly one of the best engines in the game, with plenty of low end torque, but combined with a very smooth power curve means you can really drive it out of corners on the throttle. The GT1 98 meanwhile has amazing high speed aero, and you can really lean on that in a way that's usually reserved for prototypes. And while the turbo lag doesn't give it quite the same ability out of slow corners as the Mercedes has, it's forgiving for the lead footing, which is something that can actually be quite useful in the heat of battle when your driving technique might not be perfect. The GTE class is unique in terms of having an aero balance very close to the centre of mass of these cars. While this does give them excellent high-speed rotation and sustained cornering ability, it must be offset with a gentle turn-in, especially in the Corvette and the Porsche. These two being very vulnerable to overheating the rear tyres to the point that they're almost completely undrivable, especially on the softs. While it is much more stable at high speed, the BMW's long wheelbase and front weight bias does make it actually quite difficult to handle in the low speed corners, especially compared to its rivals. It does have fantastic straight line speed advantage though. The Corvette and the C8R can almost match that, but the 911 RSR is noticeably slower by comparison, especially at higher altitude circuits. In summary, there's very little to choose between the three cars, and a lot of it comes down to personal preference. My favourite is definitely the Porsche, as it feels like the force feedback combined with the cornering speed do give it a bit of an edge. The Corvette, while I'd say potentially has a higher performance level, is tempered by the fact that force feedback just seems very weak on the default, and even when boosting the gain, does seem to just not quite give the same level of responsiveness. I feel that could be down to the tyre temperature issues we talked about, but certainly even on medium tyres, the rear of the car just isn't as stable as the Porsche is, and the Porsche has far fewer surprises in the corners too. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you do, give it a like and a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of this, do let us know. We've obviously covered the GT classes now, but let us know which classes you'd like to have a look at in the future. All the best guys, and see you soon.